All right. Hello, everybody. I'm now live on YouTube. All right. Well, how is everyone today? So I will be reading both the VIPKID and GoGoKid weekly report. And then after I read the weekly report, I will be interviewing Amy Liu. She's already here with me, but she has her green screen up until I'm done with the weekly reports. I will be monitoring the chat through my iPad. So let me start by reading the VIPKID weekly reports, and then I'll see what you're saying in the chat. Okay, so the VIPKID weekly report. April showers bring May flowers. In this week, we saw plenty of new ideas bloom in VIPKID land. All right, so the mobile app has a new customizable alarm clock, which is wonderful. Who else has been annoyed by the alarm clock going off in the middle of class? Me. Old alarm and new alarm. If you've been wanting to spice up your alarm clock settings on the mobile app, you're in luck. You'll soon be able to choose among several different alarm sounds, including 2 pre-recorded messages from VIPKID students. Oh, how sweet. You can also choose to receive a silent push notification as an alarm. I think I might choose that one. You'll also have more control over when the alarm goes off. Choose 10, 15, or 30 minutes before class. The new alarm will be slowly rolled out to teachers over the next week. If you don't see the alarm version yet, don't worry, it'll be there soon. Booking trends explained. So they have a video out. So a lot of people, as you all know, have been talking about how bookings are low. Are your bookings low? Leave it in the chat box below. I didn't have a problem until maybe this past week. Suddenly I started having a lot of cancellations. And for the past several weeks, Saturdays have been horrible. Other than Saturdays, they weren't bad until this week. There's been much discussion in the community regarding bookings. Yes, we understand this could be a concern, and they explain why in the video. They leave a link, and I'll leave that below. In short, booked classes have actually increased this year compared to last year. However, the number of available teaching slots have sharply increased since April 2020. Of course, that's when we all started, we're home, right? Our priority is to support teachers and to help them receive as many bookings as they would like. We hope this video provides additional clarification. Monthly booking requests. Wait till you guys hear this. All right, so monthly booking requests. The feature allows parents to request 4 weeks worth of time slots beginning May 20th. All students will be able to send monthly booking requests. If you've received one of these in the past, click here. Okay, I'm a little scared about that. I don't think I really want people booking a month in advance. Why? Because of course they're going to do it to hold their slots, and you're going to get a lot of last minute cancellations. I'm not sure I'm happy about this. Plus, a lot of us don't know our schedule 4 weeks out. Or do you want to make a commitment 4 weeks out? What if something comes up, an appointment or something? Let me know in the chat if you're new and you're talking directly to me. Leave it in all caps. Okay, changes in enrichment slide will now be all major levels. So if you teach levels 2 and 3, you've seen the new enrichment slide, which just says don't forget to do your study tasks. Now they're going to put that in all the levels, not just 2 and 3, basically. JCL classes will be removed from the certification center. So basically, no new students will be allowed to sign up for the JCL classes. If you're not already certified, you can no longer get certified. But if you already are certified, the certification will stay up when it shows what you're certified for. And students that were already taking JCL classes can continue the classes, but there will not be any new students taking the JCL classes. Okay, haven't attended a trial toolbox workshop yet? Register now. If you're trial certified and haven't attended the trial box workshop, this one's for you. In this workshop, you'll learn the secrets to a successful trial and tips on increasing the number of student conversions. Just by joining the workshop, you'll earn 10 tokens. Wow. So there'll be a raffle in each trial toolbox. Teacher shout outs. So they're shouting out this woman here who had a Connect 4 game as one of her rewards. She says, quote, I took the classic Connect 4 game, wrote numbers on index cards and taped the numbers on the back. They simply tell me which row they would like me to put their game piece. Very simple and fun. If you've recently hit a milestone you want to share, don't hesitate. Opal teachers celebrated this at the 6 Apple Summit. Okay, I heard that Marianne and Casey got to go to this. Anyone else get to go to this? The 6 Apple Summit for Opal teachers. Last Friday, we hosted the first ever 6 Apple Summit teachers in the Opal layer of 6 Apple. These teachers were joined by VIPKID and special guest keynote speakers and breakout sessions. Let me know if you went, if you had a great time. All proceeds went to Save the Children. Virtual meetups, they're having virtual meetups live. If you missed last week's announcement and are craving teacher connection, virtual meetups are live. Read through the support center. They're also having a virtual yoga class with Tara on May 22nd. So that is in 3 days. VIPKID responds to trending topic, fixed system issue on May 11th, reports of issues completed, some Hutong challenges. Okay, all right, I'm gonna do something different and I'm gonna read both reports before I look at the comments, only because since I'm going through Zoom, I have to look on a separate device. But again, if you have anything to say to me about the weekly reports, write it in all caps. Disclaimer, GoGoKid literally just came out with their weekly report like 2 minutes before I went live. So I'm literally gonna have to read it off the screen, and I did not read it ahead of time. So bear with me. Here is the GoGoKid weekly report. Okay, the feature updating profile via the portal will be ready soon. We're excited to announce teachers will soon be able to submit their profile update requests via the portal. Okay, so basically instead of going through Freshdesk and having to write a ticket every time you want to change your video or change your picture for GoGoKid, you can now go straight through the portal, which is awesome because honestly, sometimes having to write a ticket prevented me from doing it. I would change it for VIPKID because it was easy, and then I wouldn't change it for GoGoKid. Okay, so their expected date is May 24th that you could start doing this. If you submitted your request before via email, do not submit it again. Okay, and they give you step-by-step with pictures on how to do it, but you need to look at it yourself. Profile review, after you submit it for review, the page status will read under review. So it's basically very similar to VIPKID. Let's see, who will split the pot, see if you win. All right, I'm not gonna read that because everybody says that they don't care about the incentives. Okay, prizes. They have an essay, share and shine essay contest, win $20. Teachers are more likely to receive positive parent feedback and help students learn the material better. Join our competition. Deadline for submission for these essays is May 29th. Number 4, master the methods, nail the curriculum. We're inviting you to join our Nail the Curriculum series again. In these workshops, you will be joined by experienced trainers who will walk you through various strategies to help you engage K1, K2, L1, L2, L3, L4 students more effectively. You'll learn the most common negative complaints from parents at each level and some actual classroom experiences and various other helpful strategies to help you get high ratings from the parents and build your student base. Check out a few selected feedback we've received from participants of the workshop. So it's just people saying good things about the workshop trainers. Number 5, a few clicks away from a head start in your new teacher phase. Okay, the new teacher boot camp, which they have this every week in the weekly report. And sorry about that if you heard that. Okay, and important health and safety updates. Some things you can help do to protect yourself. This is all stuff we know. I guess they're just trying to help us remember. Engage Infrequent hand washing, avoid crowded places. When possible, avoid touching your face in public, avoid close contact with those who are sick, and wear gloves. All right, and that is it for the GoGoKid weekly report. I'm going to bring it up on my iPad so I can look at any comments. And Amy, if you would like to join us. Hello, Amy.
Hello, hello, Teacher Amy. Ready, set, go.
All right, is that the way you greet your students?
Something like that, yeah.
Something like that. All right, I'm going to, let's see, try to bring up the video on my iPad. So how about while I'm looking for the comments, what do you think of the weekly report? Anything you want to comment on that stood out to you, or?
Well, I'm curious about the 4 weeks because I do get a lot of starlights, and for a few months I was teaching starlights, which book in 4s or 4 weeks at a time. And I liked it for a while, and then it kind of became like, oh, I was missing some of the major courses and stuff like that. But then the other thing is most of those kids never canceled. I did notice that. So it'll be interesting to see how the regular classes go and cancellations, especially now with kids going back to school, and who knows? I mean, it's hard enough for us to do it 4 weeks at a time, let alone a parent.
Yeah, and I mean, I have lots of times where even my regulars will book for the frenzy. You know, maybe they'll book 5 classes and at least 1 or 2 will get like canceled right before that 24-hour mark. So I can only imagine, like, if you had it that blocked for 4 weeks, no one else could book, and then right before 24 hours. So let me see what people are saying. I'm going with the newest first. I should do the oldest first. Laura says, I wonder if you decline a booking 4 weeks out, if your slot will still book later. Okay, good question. Like, if you could, you probably will still be able to open it for the frenzy, but would you be able to book 2 weeks out when those parents want to? Danny said thumbs up the live. Thank you, Danny. Let's see, anybody else said anything? You should make some moderators of Casey and Cindy. Okay. I will, and Danny says, bummer about JCL. Evelyn's listening. Okay, I see your comment. All right. Okay, Beth said, I had more for February through April. It slowed down in May, back to my normal. Okay, Cindy's bookings are the same. All right. So, okay, Candy said you have a beautiful apartment. It's her green screen, Candy.
But it's totally my style. It's totally my style. Thank you, Candy.
Yes. And again, let me let you guys know, please write in all caps if you're writing to me or have a question specifically for Amy, because when you guys get chatty and there's a lot of stuff going on in the live stream, then I only read the stuff in all caps. Okay, so very good. Well, thanks for being here, Amy.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, so you guys, she has a very interesting story. Wait till you hear it. There's a reason I wanted to have her on my channel. Evelyn has a private Facebook group for her friends, and she asked everybody to introduce themselves, and Amy told a little about herself, so I thought she had a story that should be shared. But before we talk about her personal story, let's talk about VIPKID. So how long have you been a VIPKID teacher?
I started the last 2 weeks of September 2019.
So you're a newbie.
Yes. Right at what, 7 months? I'd have to look at my days or whatnot. But yeah.
So you've signed 2 contracts now.
Yes, I am now in my 2nd contract. That was quick and easy. They sent it, no problem. And I signed it right away.
Yes. All right. So do you work for any other ESL companies?
At the exact moment, no. I've started to do the Cambly thing. I sent one video, but I made it a little too short. So I got to make it a little longer. And I'm going to do Cambly just because that's quick and easy for right now. Thinking about Outschooled, but I'm not really interested in having to create my own lessons. So that's the big thing that's holding me up on Outschooled.
Yeah, actually, that was what held me back for a long time too. But I guess all the VIPKid teachers talking about it I decided to go ahead and do it. Um, so I've submitted my application, but I haven't officially been hired yet, which I have a video coming out if I am hired. Okay, so I'm going to skip around on the question, but what's your typical schedule like?
At the moment, it's 4 to 8. So I wake up about 3:30 and get a cup of coffee, let my dog out, and set up. I used to wake up like at 3:45, but now that I've started using Nanny Cam, I allow myself a little more time. So.
Yeah. Well, that's good. So let me ask you, going back to you being on your second contract, are you going for the raise at the 1 year mark?
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing I think would stop me from getting the raise is the 5 apples. I get anywhere from 16 to 20% every month, but I've yet to actually get 25 for the month. So I think on my first one, I don't have to have the 25%, but I still want it. I'm competitive.
Right. Well, then you would have to have all the other things like filled. I think you're allowed like, one thing or 2 things. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. The first time around. Yeah, the apples are my issue too. Like I literally border at that 25%. So it literally could just be one bad month could put me at 24 and keep me from getting the raise.
Yeah.
So so what's your favorite level to teach?
Any level that books me.
Good answer.
I do teach a lot of level 1 and 2s. I get 3s and 4s, had a few 5s, have yet to teach a 6 or 7, even though I'm certified. And I do a lot of supplementary classes. So my core would be 1, 2, 3. And then anything else that's not booked by those regular students is filled with supplementary.
Okay, good. So, and if you had to choose a favorite out of the ones that do book you, which one do you like teaching the most?
Level 1's a no-brainer for me. So okay. I just put on a kids show and we have fun, and I extend a lot with them. So I'm pretty impressed with a lot of my level 1s.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. Let's see. So were you a brick and mortar teacher?
I was not. I actually have a degree in social work. I never formally used my degree in social work, but I have done home health care, and I was also a sales rep, real estate. So, but my passion is in that social work realm.
That seems like a hard job.
Yes. Well, that's why I didn't formally go and use it, because unless I have control of the situation, I don't like a lot of the paperwork. And if I saw something wrong, I would have to change it and fix it. And a lot of times you can't make those immediate changes. So unless I had my own practice or something like that, I decided not to go that route.
What did you do for like home health care?
I took care of a friend that was a quadriplegic, and he was on a ventilator and he was paralyzed from the neck down. And I've also done some hospice care, and I've worked with mentally challenged adults, done a lot of that. So.
Wow. Sounds hard, but rewarding for all of those. Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Let's see. All right. So what is your why for starting with VIPKid?
More of a why not? When I first came across it, I actually heard about it years ago when it first started, but it was like everybody else. I didn't know it was a real thing. When you do Google searches, at least in the past, you didn't know what was a legitimate company or not. And then last year, it was brought to my attention again by a woman who was a brick and mortar teacher. And she had been with them for 3 years. She's traveled to China and all of that. So I knew I could trust her word. And so I signed up immediately, and I was hired within the week. And I think I started teaching by week 2 of the process.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, same. I think that's almost everybody's story. They think it's a scam when they first hear about it. you're right, because you're searching and then you see China and you hear so many stories of people getting scammed by the work from home.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. Well, that's great. Let me see if what people are saying in the chat, if they have any questions. Marianne says you need 10 points for the first raise. Right. So only like maybe isn't that 12 points total? So you can be lacking in one thing. So if apples were the only thing she was lacking in, she would still get it.
So right now I am only lacking apples. I've got the 10. Yeah. So.
Okay. So that's good. All right. Well, I don't see any other questions in the chat. So let's go ahead and start. So, all right. So just in general, tell us a little about yourself.
Let's see. I live in Galveston, Texas, and we live on the beach. I love it. I am 37 years old, no kids, and I do have a pit bull. And I started doing VIPKID because I wanted to work from home. I wanted the opportunity to travel because we do try to travel quite a bit. And my boyfriend, he's able to work from anywhere as well, as long as he has an internet. So whenever we've kind of started making transitions, it was a big importance for me to be able to have flexibility. And it's brought a lot of joy into my life. I love these kids like crazy. Like I said, I was in social work for quite a long time. I was a sales rep for fine china and sterling silver. And I've kind of been all over the place. And I have a degree in social work. Let's see. I don't know. What do you want to know?
Well, going off what you just said, so what's the best or most exciting place you've traveled to?
Well, I love France because my heritage is French. And so my mom and I did a 20-day road trip across the south of France. And I just love it. I say my soul feels at peace whenever I'm there. But I did also enjoy Germany whenever I was there. I spent about 2 weeks in Germany, Belgium. I've yet to do Asia. My dad was living in Thailand for a while, but I never got to make it there. I'd really like to go to Thailand and Vietnam. And then I like the islands. I like the West Indies and stuff like that. So
yeah, islands are nice. I've heard Thailand's beautiful. I haven't been there. So yeah, I went to France actually when I was 16 on with the school. I was taking French. Parlez-vous français? And sprechen Sie Deutsch? Yeah, you probably, how many languages do you know?
Oh, I mean, I know English. I know one. I mixed French and Spanish because, like you, in high school, I took French. In college, Spanish was required. I live in Texas. Everybody speaks Spanish, but if I start actually trying to talk, I'll mix the two.
Right. Well, they're similar too. So yeah, you can see that. All right. So, so let's get into like your story. All right. So tell us about what did or does your father do for a living?
My father is now retired, but before I was born, he was a police officer, and but due to circumstances, he decided to leave the police force. So he officially retired from them, and then he moved to Texas, and he actually retired as a postman. So, and since he's been retired, he's traveled all over the world and has just enjoyed it very much. But the first responders and police have always been kind of an important part of our family.
Yeah, so let me let everybody know that you actually spend time raising money and doing fundraisers to help victims of families of fallen police officers. So tell us how you got into doing that.
I kind of just fell into it. I actually had lost my job and was out of work for a period of time. And there was a shooting at a gas station about 200 yards from my house. And so I'm friends with all the guys that worked at the gas station. The next morning, I went over there to check on all of them. And what happened was a gentleman was sitting in a car, waited for a police officer to come out of the gas station, He was pumping his gas, and the guy approached him from behind and just unloaded and shot him from behind. And it was just a huge, tragic event. At the time, I was living in Cypress, which is North Houston. And those things just did not happen in our area. It was a very, middle-class neighborhood. I've lived there all my life. And I didn't know the police officer like really well, but we had interactions. He had held the door open for me a few times and kind of joked with me. But it was a very traumatic thing to happen for our community. And at the time, there was a lot of other communities who were rioting in the streets. And it was whenever we were having a lot of issues between the police and civilians. And we didn't really know why this guy did this. And it was just very sad. So that very first morning, I went to go check on my friends and kind of pay my respects or whatnot. And there was one other gentleman there who was just in shock, and he had known the police officer. And without thinking, he was just like, I got to do something for his family. And we were like, yeah. And we got some buckets from the Chevron station and just stood outside, started collecting money. And of course, more and more people throughout that morning started arriving, placing balloons, flowers, and we ended up having a makeshift memorial for almost 2 weeks or so. And we held walks, we greeted the community members, and just on that street corner, we raised over $250,000.
Wow.
Let alone what we did with GoFundMe and stuff.
Oh, I think, people have a lot of respect for police officers. Of course, some people don't, but yeah. So tell us about you ended up speaking at somebody's funeral, but let's start at the beginning of that story. So what is his name and how did you get to know him?
So the story I just told you kind of leads into the next story. During this original shooting in 2015, it was Officer Darren Goforth who was shot and killed. It made world news. Maybe you remember it. If you're in Texas, you might. Whenever I was doing those fundraising and we were at that vigil site and all of that, I met an officer, Sandeep Dhaliwal, and we became very good friends. We spent a lot of time working and talking with each other. He was kind of the spokesperson for the police force. He was really good friends with Darren. He was the first on the scene whenever it originally happened. And both him and I really wanted to make a big point to reach out to the community and to let them know that, we need to be united. We did not want to become the next talk on the news about riots in the street and protests and stuff like that. So we really put a message out there of unity in the community. And through that, I got to know him really well. And over the years, we stayed in contact. We continued to do a few different events and stuff like that together. And last September, he was shot and killed from behind about 2 miles from where the Officer Goforth was shot and killed.
So. Oh, that's terrible. Do they know who it was? Was the person caught?
Yeah, he was caught that afternoon. He had warrants out for his arrest. He originally gave a false name. And, when he ran it and was going back, or he had turned his back, and the guy knew he was going to go to jail and just shot him in the head. And that was it. And then took off and hid in a shopping center. And within an hour or two, probably, maybe a little longer, he was caught. So it was all for nothing.
Wow. And this was someone you spent time with, you raised money with for other people that this happened to, and then it ended up happening to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, terrible. So I will link it below, but Amy ended up speaking at his funeral, and there was how many people there? It was a lot of people.
On the ground, there was probably like 5,000 people, but then it was televised across at least Houston as well as the world, because I know it was viewed in Asia and all of that. So,
Right. I will leave it below. And about 2 hours in is when she starts speaking. It was a touching speech. I'm gonna cry now thinking about it. Like it made me cry. It was a very touching. And brave to that was a lot of people to speak in front of too. And she ended up speaking right before Ted Cruz. Like Ted Cruz came up and spoke right after her. So yeah, that's amazing. I mean, so what do you want people to remember about your friend?
Well, for one, in our community, he was the first Sikh turban wearing police officer. He, broke down barriers and everything to wear his turban. A lot of people don't understand the turban or don't know a lot about Sikhs. And so I decided to use the platform that was given to me to speak on behalf of him, his faith, and his community, because, sometimes it takes somebody else's voice for other people to listen. And I, again, firmly believe in unity in the community. We can all have differences and we can all have differences of opinions, but we can live together in harmony if that's what we choose to do. So,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so let me know in the comments, had you heard of the Sikh religion? So I definitely had heard of it. Before I looked it up, I thought maybe it was like an offshoot of the Muslims, but it's not. It's its own religion. What can you tell us about it?
Well, for one, it is the fifth largest religion. It is completely separate from Islam and Hinduism. And so, especially after 9/11, there was a lot of racism, prejudice towards Sikhs because of people not understanding and not knowing the difference and not being educated. They are completely different. 99% of the people that you see wearing a turban are Sikhs. In North America alone, there's about 1 million, and it's one of the newest religions. But what people often don't understand or don't choose to educate themselves on things that they're not aware of. Sikhs are for all equality. The scriptures, even like their God is genderless. Their scriptures and everything make no mention of man, woman, ethnic groups, or anything like that. They're all inclusive. They believe that it doesn't necessarily, they're more about God than religion. And I'm trying to think of what else. There's a lot, but they believe in service and they believe in taking care of humanity. And so the local gurdwaras here, which you could kind of compare to like a church or something, their place of worship, they every Sunday they provide a free meal to anybody. There's some places within the world where they provide a meal every single day, 3 times a day. And anybody, it does not matter what faith you are, it doesn't matter what color you are, anything, they will feed you. And so those are some of the big points of them. And if there's questions.
Okay, yeah, I mean, good point. So I think, you know what I mean? Muslims wear head coverings and Sikhs, so people probably just put them together. And maybe, yeah, people, if you are watching and you don't know much about it, maybe after this is over, go look it up and learn a little more about it. I have to, like, my daughter took a world religion class and she hadn't heard of it. So they were teaching about a lot of different religions in school, but that was one that, wasn't taught. So yeah. So did you convert to being a Sikh?
No, I have not. I don't really subscribe to any religion. I was raised Catholic, but I am not practicing. But there are a lot of things about the Sikh faith that I can incorporate in my own life. And I think almost anybody can without actually converting. And another thing about Sikhs is they do not believe in going out and converting people. It is against kind of their beliefs to actually, how people go on missions or different things like that. they do not believe in doing that. If you are interested in the Sikh faith, you can go ask questions, learn about it, and it is all up to your choice. But they also believe that there's not one path to salvation. You know, you can be a Christian, you can be a Muslim. It's about how you live and if you have God in your heart. So it's a pretty interesting religion.
Okay, let me see what people are saying in the chat. Okay, Evelyn said, yes, I took a world religions class and didn't learn about Sikhs. Okay, and Marianne says, awesome for raising funds for the department. Daniel says, 250K is no joke. Yep.
Well, that was for one. For Sandeep, we raised over, well, once all the money's added, it's been over 1.5 million. But I myself and my group of citizens raised over like 500,000.
Wow. Yeah. Well, his made national attention too, right? So I'm sure that helped. Yes. And his funeral was televised. Okay. So here we go. So how did you end up speaking at a funeral of someone who is a Sikh when you were not Sikh? And I know you guys were friends, but how did you end up speaking at the funeral?
Thank you for the question. So whenever the very first night I found out that Sandeep had passed away, I lived about 2 hours away. I immediately got in my car, rushed back to my old neighborhood where everything happened. And the next day we set up shop to start a memorial, start raising money. And I immediately created an event on Facebook to have a candlelight vigil like the following, or that Sunday. It happened on a Friday. So I was trying to plan a candlelight vigil for the community. And the Harris County Sheriff's Department caught wind of it. And then they asked to kind of work together. At first, I was like, okay, they really just don't want me to do it. They're going to want to do their own thing. But it turned out that they really did want my help. And we ended up rescheduling it for Monday so we could have more officers on duty. And we ended up doing it at actually the Darren Goforth Park, which is a very large park. And they basically provided me with all the supplies, speakers, lights, bathrooms, all sorts of stuff. And so I kind of organized this candlelight vigil, and we had our city mayor, the police chief of police, we had senators and congressmen, local officials that all attended and gave speeches. And that Monday at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, one of the police officers said, Amy, they want you to speak. And it started at 6. So I was like, okay, what am I going to say? Everybody was talking about how he's a good guy, police force, all of that. And I went in my friend's car and I kind of just sat there and was like, what is little me going to say? And that's when I remembered, in the past speeches, whenever we had been at the gas station, and I knew what he had taught me and what was important to him. And so at this candlelight vigil, I gave this speech, and I was very nervous because I didn't have anybody approve of it, and I knew his family was there. His dad was sitting like right there. And afterwards, his whole family and all the community members just came up to me with tears in their eyes and were just full of gratitude. And they just said, you said what we've been trying to say for so long. And it was just full of gratitude. I mean, I cried, they cried. And then so like the next day they reached out to me and said, well, the funeral's already planned, but we're going to try to see if we can get you in there. And it wasn't until the night before that I officially knew that I would be speaking at the actual funeral.
Wow. So did you give the same speech you gave at the candlelight vigil?
I tweaked it a little bit, but that was basically what they had wanted. Because there was only so many community members. I mean, it was a big turnout, but they knew that the whole funeral would be televised. And they had 2 parts to the funeral. So the first part was the Sikh funeral. And that was when they decided to have me speak. And then they had kind of like the police officer funeral.
Okay, yes, because definitely the speech didn't sound like something you wrote quick, but it must be because it came from your heart. I mean, did you have experience public speaking before that?
No, not really. I mean, in high school, I did theater, But other than that, I mean, I hadn't done anything for many, many years. And so it really did just come from passion. And, you know, when him and I worked together in the past, when we were at this gas station, there was other community members who were saying different messages that I personally didn't agree with, and that I thought really alienated a lot of people. And so he would nudge me and say, Amy, you need to say something. And so I would then go up and I would greet everybody and I would tell them, thank you for coming. And again, versus being religious in my speeches, I was more community driven and more all inclusive. And so that was kind of, I had little bits of speaking in front of people there, but it was like 20 or 30 people at times.
Nothing I would have never known you never spoke in front of, or really spoke in front of a large crowd, because you did great, but must have been came from your heart. And definitely if anyone's watching this later and I forget, I'm going to link that in the description box so you can see it. It's about 2 hours and 1 minute into the video, she starts speaking. So let me ask, like, what do you mean by, like, you didn't agree with what they were saying, or
it just became very Christian and very religious at times. And then some of those people were not greeting certain people that came up. And so they were able to share their thoughts and their feelings. And I just wanted to make sure that everybody felt that they should be there, that they were welcome to be there. And, you know, regardless of whatever your faith is, you know, we can all mourn together. We can all rise up together. We can all spread love. We can all help our community. And that's one thing that I will say about at Sandeep's memorial site. You saw crosses, you saw like Buddhist things, and you saw every type of religion displayed in that memorial site, because all were welcome. And I appreciate that. And I think more tolerance should be in the world. And my biggest, I guess, message that I would say is I was just, you know, a suburban girl. I didn't have anything, and I saw something wrong, and I saw something that needed to happen. And so when people say, like, you really can do something, and it just takes one person to maybe get together with a second person, we know we really can change things.
Right. One person can make a difference. Yeah. All right. I'm going to see what people are saying in the chat. Oh, let's see. There's a lot of chatter. So, Gwen says, I had a high school and college classmate who was a Sikh. He was such a great guy and really educated us about our faith. Yeah, I think it helps knowing people maybe that aren't exactly like you to learn things about the world. Beth, I just want to make sure that I knew what we were talking about. I don't know much about Sikhs, but I know we had a lot of them near us when I was on a mission trip in London. All right, so it's, I remember the men wearing man buns before they were popular on the top of their heads with a scarf or something covering. Evelyn wants to watch it. Okay, I'll definitely link it below. All right, so yeah, any comments about that? Or so is it popular? It's a popular religion in London? Would have never known.
There's a lot of people that have immigrated. There's a lot of Indians, for one, who have immigrated to London. And in fact, that's where one of the largest television channels called Akal TV is on. They interviewed me for all of this as well. And we've continued to stay in contact to continue to try to do community service and bring awareness to the public. But what was I going to say? They originated like northern India. They speak Punjabi. But yeah.
Okay, well, great. Well, I don't have any more questions. Do you have anything else you want people to know or that you want to say before we end this? Or anyone quickly write in the chat if you have any more questions for Amy?
No, I just appreciate the opportunity to share and to educate people. And really, you know, we're all in this together. We either do, I firmly believe that we either do things out of love or fear. So that's one thing that I always do to check myself. You know, am I reacting or acting out of love, or am I doing it out of fear? And I think, you know, it makes it a kind of black and white choice or opportunity. So just think about that and go out there and do some good.
Right. Okay. So yes, and there you go, everyone. You got to know Amy Lou. She comes to all of our live streams, and we see her on Facebook. But now we've gotten to see you in person, to see you speak, to see you on video, and to hear your story, which I thought was a very important story that needed to be told. So yeah, thanks. Don't see any more questions.
VIPKid questions.
Oh yeah. Do you have anything else to say about VIPKid? I forgot to ask you. You wanted to talk about being a minimalist.
Well, I just don't. Yeah, I did want to touch on it because I do consider myself a minimalist, and I think, especially when people are beginning, YouTube is filled with the prop masters, and I remember whenever I first started, I was watching, I became kind of overwhelmed, and I was like, oh, I got to get a magnet board. I got to get magnets. I got to get, like, you know, laminating and all this kind of stuff. And for me, I ended up not using any of it. I kind of kept some of these because this was my original props, you know, from my mock and stuff. They're on straws. I have a green screen, so it's going to mess it up. So I literally found, I used the airplane. This is literally like one of the only things I still use is a little airplane. Everything else is going in the trash. And then for my rewards to this day, I still use either the trophies, or I had like little bulletin board stars that were different colors. And so I was teaching the kids colors, even level 3 and 4s. They don't always know their colors. And now that I use ManiCam, I still only use stars. I will occasionally, if it's a UA or something, do Ultraman or Hello Kitty, but I don't give them a choice. The few times I did, when I tried playing with Google Slides, it became a hot mess. And so most of my kids now, I started to not give them stars one day, and I had 2 or 3 say, where's my star? Where's my star? Because I have the little ones that, you know, come up here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And so now all my props are pretty much on ManiCam. I have a panda. I have an actual hat. I have a ball. But other than that, I don't use a lot of props. I don't find that they've needed them. And I have all 5 apples. So, you know, I have over 200 for 7 months. I mean, it's not bad.
Yeah, I think if you have ManiCam, you probably don't need as many. So,
well, I just started using ManiCam about a month and a half ago. So really for the core 6 months of my first teaching, when I first started, I had these little guys from the dollar store, these little animals. And so it'd be like, oh, you get a panda, you get an alligator. He's not showing up green but you know, I think having a prop just to have a prop, but I think if you're really utilizing it to teach something, go for it. And if that's what you feel comfortable with, by all means. But especially when you're first starting out, don't stress about it all. Have a few select things, get your pacing, get to be comfortable with the slides and your students. And as you progress, if you want to go and do props, but don't feel like you have to. I'm my best prop. Like the guys were saying, I make funny faces, we dance, we sing, and we have a lot of fun. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah, I mean, every teacher is different. So I do use a lot of props. I'm sure it's easy to keep your space clean, but I would think I would want to get ManiCam if I were going to get rid of the props. I haven't.
It does make it a little bit more, you know, comfortable. But again, even before I had ManiCam, I didn't have flashcards. I didn't have, I don't know. I don't have Mr. Potato Head. That is one I thought I might get. But other than that, you know, to me, there's a lot on the slides, and there's a lot that I can do physically. I do a lot of TPR, and Yeah, I mean, I have the letter flashcards and stuff, but I don't do it. I write on the slides. I can write an F, I can write a G.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, I haven't tried Manicam. Most of my props ended up being my kids' old toys, but I did buy flashcards when I was new. Let me see what people are saying. Daniel can relate to buying stuff and not using it. And then he also says Manicam is worth the investment. I guess I keep wanting to do it. I haven't jumped. I think Cindy's trying to use Manicam. Evelyn, you're using a green screen. That's not a room behind you. You must have missed the beginning, Evelyn. She talked all about that. Yeah. Oh. Oh, that's your actual apartment?
Yeah. It's a storage catch-all right now.
That's great. Yeah, because then you can have any background that you want.
Yeah, we go to, I was gonna say, we go to Egypt, we go to China, and anything I can do on there. And the more I've gotten comfortable with Manicam, you know, if I need a fish, I can pop up a fish. If I need an elephant, I can pop up an elephant. So
right. Yeah, that would be really cool for the level ones, whatever country you're talking about. You could have that. Same with like the fours. There's a whole travel unit. You could be in whatever country. Well, okay, yeah, that's pretty cool. Gwen uses Manicam in Google Slides, but hasn't done it for 2 months. Luann's concerned about IT conflicts. I'm kind of worried about that too.
Which is smart to be. You know, you really just want to make sure that you have a good, lots of RAM. That's a big thing. So if you have an older computer or something like that, you know, you got to be careful. So far, I have not had IT issues. Every once in a while, my microphone will want to not work, and I just kind of have to restart. But I've never had Manicam shut down, knock on wood. And so far, it's been really smooth. I can do like what you saw for those who weren't here in the beginning. This is what I set up. I start my camera early, and I can mute myself so they can't hear me. And then whenever I come on, I say, ready, set, go, boom, it's Amy. And I also have a thing where I can put my WeChat.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah, you showed that. Do you give it to a lot of parents or just a few?
I don't. If me and the kid have a connection or something like that, most of my regulars I am on WeChat with. Yeah, I'll usually put it at the end, or if I had 1 or 2 good classes, well, usually I try to have a few more than that. But as long as I've had some good classes, I'll put it up there.
Okay, and let's see if anyone said anything. Deborah doesn't use props, but I do celebrate students when they do well, when I try pronouncing words. And
yes, Deborah, that is me. I am big. I mean, I get a ton of phonics classes, so somebody must be watching me, because I am big on pronunciation. And, you know, I get in the camera and I'm like, and all that. And the kids get up there and they love it. So, and yeah. I always work on sentences. Even from level 1, we are working on sentences.
Yeah, well, good, because I teach all levels, but I have the most level 4s. And if like kids get behind, I have some 4s who will mix up short and long vowels, and trying to get through the lesson a level 4, you don't have time to work on phonics. So I try to work on it a little bit, but yeah, I'm glad, teach them young so that when they get the upper levels, they're not still mixing up short A and long A.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much. I mean, so many people will, you know, on the Facebook groups and stuff like that, they're like, how do you extend level 1? And I'm like, there is so much to extend. I mean, I see, I eat, whatever it is. Can't think of anything right now. But, you know, we count stars. We talk about colors. I start teaching them shapes. I start talking about letters, numbers, because level 2, they say, is this a letter? Is this a number? And right. So we start circling letters, and I start teaching them like I am 5.
That's great. Yeah. So it sounds like you have a lot of ways to extend, and Paula likes the way it looks, and she hasn't tried Manicam. So yeah. All right. Well, thanks for coming here and sharing your story. You definitely have a great story to share. And now here everybody has seen the Amy that you see in our live chats. Now you know what she looks like and sounds like.
I'm real.
Yes. All right, Amy, good to talk to you. And bye, everyone. Bye, Amy. Thanks for coming.
Bye. Have a great day, everybody.